Hello and welcome to another episode of Leading You, our 201st episode, in fact. Last week was our 200th episode, and I'm so excited to continue to celebrate this milestone with you. Over the course of these episodes, I've had the privilege of deep diving into leadership with some incredible guests, sharing lessons and uncovering what it truly means to lead yourself in the first instance. And I was so grateful for the outpouring of gratitude for the podcast and also the consistency in the delivery of the podcast. So you know that every Tuesday you have a really inspiring episode to listen to for your commute to work or for your walk in the morning. So I really appreciate your kind thoughts about the 200th episode. And so I thought that I would jump on today and just share some of my insights from bringing 200 podcast episodes to you. Because as is often the case when you embark on something that is often uncomfortable, a little scary, sometimes challenging, and is another ball to juggle and often a demanding ball, you learn a lot about yourself. What works, what doesn't, how you can improve, how you can level up, and how you can be more human and more aware. So, in this episode, I'll be reflecting on the most powerful leadership lessons I've learned from 200 episodes that I believe will help you. From the power of the pause to the importance of self-care, these insights have shaped not only my own leadership, but countless others as well. And you might be thinking right now, Julie, I've heard this before. I know this. And yes, you might, but are you doing it? Because there's really consistent themes through all of the conversations that I have that have led to my guests' success. And they're often what you might consider basic themes or simple themes. And the thing that I have found with leadership, whether leading self or leading others, is it is the simple things done consistently well that makes the biggest difference. It's the simple things done consistently well that makes the biggest difference. It's not the grand leaps, it's the small things, the meaningful things that will make you a better leader, that will fuel you to be your best self, that will fuel you to make empowered choices for yourself to lead a life that you love. All of these done consistently will get you your outcomes. And that's really the first lesson right there. It's certainly the overarching message and one that I would like you to write down, to memorize, to write on your mirror, to do whatever it takes to remember that. Because often the key things are what we consider boring. They might be bland, thought to be hard, or no fun. But the results are far from that. The results are fun, they are colorful, and they are worth it. So let's dive in to the top 7 lessons that can help you become an unstoppable leader. And number 1 is the power of the pause. And this is going to be absolutely no surprise to you because I am such an advocate for this. And I believe it can be the absolute game changer for your leadership of both others and of self. In leadership, pausing before reacting is a superpower. It allows leaders to assess situations, make informed decisions, and communicate with clarity. What pausing does is it creates a space for reflection, which helps avoid emotional responses and fosters thoughtful leadership. Now, the power of the pause, as I write about in You Always Have a Choice, that is very much about elevating your thoughts. It's about elevating your thinking so that you can see the landscape in front of you and know whether you are hitting the runway that you want to hit. It gives your mind a space to relax. It gives your mind, your brain, the opportunity to reset, to rest, and then to recalibrate to enable you to be the best possible version of you. Now, a really great example of that was in the podcast episode with Shivani Gupta, where she shared that she took at least 6 months out from when she stepped away from a business before she decided on what she was going to do next. She gave herself the space and time to think about what is it that she really wants to do next? What is going to light her up? What's going to fuel her purpose rather than just jumping into something else, which is something that we have the tendency to do through our addiction to busyness, as an example. We just want to go, okay, we can tick off that goal. What's next? What's next? What's next? And we constantly tick off a list, but we don't give ourselves the space and time to really reflect, to think, to absorb, to understand the lessons, to understand what we have created and to celebrate that. So power of the pause is probably my the biggest lesson and something that I speak about in everything that I do. And I'm glad that it's not just me talking about it. It's also the guests who have been part of my podcast, who have created great success, who speak about that too. Number 2 is self-care fuels success. No surprise there. But effective leadership starts with looking after yourself. Prioritizing your physical, your mental, and emotional well-being prevents work burnout and sustains long-term success. Leaders who model self-care encourage their team to do the same, promoting a healthier work culture. And also it shows your team that they are empowered to do the same thing, which is really important in today's culture. It's something that we often put on the back burner. Again, due to busyness, we don't have time to exercise. We don't have time to eat well. We don't have time to give ourselves time out. It's, can be a really vicious cycle of just constantly doing. There are enough people talking about their own burnout experiences for us to learn. We know better now. And by reverting to lesson 1, which is the power of the pause, really prioritizing self-care and acting on that priority, setting boundaries around that priority is really, really important for your success. The third one is vulnerability strengthens trust. And that's a bit of a tongue twister. But one thing I've noticed on a lot of the podcast episodes with my guests is they have really vulnerably shared their stories, often where they have had failures, where they have stumbled quite significantly and made mistakes, and they have shared their stories for the benefit of others. Because vulnerability is no longer a weakness, but it is a leadership strength. And Brene Brown is, of course, leading that conversation. But it's often something that we don't want to adopt because we can feel really, really uncomfortable about that. But I find leaders who openly admit mistakes and share personal challenges and express authenticity build deep trust with their teams. And I've built really strong trust with my listeners, with my clients, with readers of my book through sharing my own journey, my own mistakes, my own failures. It just makes people human. And the openness encourages others to do the same, leading to stronger connections and more collaborative environments. It just removes that, I think, that want and often that need for people to think they have to be perfect. And in leadership, we know that is the pathway to failure, that want to be perfect. And that want to be perfect is the absolute pathway to holding yourself back. So that vulnerability to step forward when you don't want to share stories when you think it's going to be uncomfortable, really does strengthen your leadership. Number 4 is empowered choices drives growth. 110%. Leadership is about making conscious, empowered decisions. Whether it's a tough conversation or setting boundaries, intentional choices shape how effectively a leader can grow and inspire their teams. And leaders who take control of their decisions rather than being reactionary set the tone for growth and purpose, not only for others, but for their own leadership. And this is very much about what I wrote in You Always Have a Choice, because we do. We always have a choice. We go left or right. We go to victim, we go to victor. That is all about empowered choices. And through the power of the pause, that's when we can give ourselves the opportunity to making empowered choices. And if I reflect on an episode, there's a great episode with Michelle Cox where she really reflects on the empowered choices that she made throughout her career. And there are a lot of other people who have made empowered choices to move from their career and transition into their own business, as an example, or to transition into a completely different vacation or vocation completely. So empowered choices is something I talk about often, and it is something that's so important for leadership. Number 5, emotional intelligence builds strong leaders. Highly emotional intelligence is a hallmark of impactful leaders. You will know leaders who are very intelligent, so they have high IQ, but they might not have strong EQ. And they, in my opinion, do not make great leaders. They can be the smartest person in the room, but they can often not be the most effective or influential leader in the room. That is for sure. So having that high emotional intelligence gives you the opportunity to self-regulate, to understand how your emotions impact others, and how you can empathize and understand what motivates you and what drives you. So it's really having that self-awareness around that. And leaders who really focus on building their emotional intelligence and practicing it not only resolve conflicts more effectively, but they also inspire loyalty and cohesion with their teams. I've seen this so often, and there's so many guests that are highly emotionally intelligent. And I can reference the interview I actually did with Catherine Duncan and Adam Rouse. And we were talking about diversity on that episode, but they are two very strong leaders, very emotionally intelligent leaders that really understand how they tick in the first instance, and then how they impact on others and how they can really bring a team of individuals together as a cohesive team. So that's a really great episode to reference. Number 6 is that resilience comes from self-mastery. Now, we talk a lot about resilience. And the episode I did with Peter Baines, also we spoke about resilience there, and the 200th episode with Katrina Jones. But Peter talked about how you cannot build resilience until you take risks, until you step out of your comfort zone, until you do things that really most likely you don't want to do. So we often complain about our younger generations not having resilience, but if we're just constantly trying to keep them safe, or we're constantly trying to do for them, they're not going to build resilience. So we have to empower others to give them their wings to fly, while having a safety net there to catch them if they fall and to encourage them to learn lessons from that fall. But resiliency enables you to stay composed under pressure. It enables you to adapt to challenges. It enables you to maintain your focus on long-term goals. Self-mastery involves practicing self-regulation, self-awareness, and staying grounded in your purpose, which helps you to overcome setbacks and guide your team with confidence. It's sort of leading yourself through the fire while making sure that you have got the apparatus to put that fire out, if you like, and learn your lessons from that. And number 7 is that adaptability is essential. In today's ever-changing environment, adaptability is one of the most critical leadership traits. And being flexible and open to change enables leaders to respond proactively to new challenges. I think the episode with Carlo Pagano, where he talks about relevance, is a great example of this in terms of making sure that you're adapting to the environment, to who you're leading, to your clients. It's a really important trait that really we as humans need to adopt. Not only if you are a leader, but particularly as a leader of self, we need to adopt this trait to be successful in this ever-changing, in this complex environment in which we operate and in which we live. And those who embrace change and guide their teams through uncertainty are the ones who thrive in dynamic settings. So I really hope that these 7 lessons have been potentially a great reminder for you, but have offered you some tips in terms of what you need to focus on to really thrive in what is going to continue to be an environment that changes, that is complex, and that is so fast moving. We have to level up our leadership. We have to implement game-changing strategies for our own leadership. We can't continue to do what may have worked for us in the past. We have to adopt new strategies that's going to work for us now and in the future. So I am so grateful to each and every one of you for tuning in, not just today, but throughout this incredible journey. These 7 leadership lessons are the culmination of hundreds of conversations, challenges, and growth. And I hope that they inspire you as much as they have shaped my own leadership path. As always, remember that leadership starts with you, and the choices you make today will define the leader that you become tomorrow. So thank you for being part of this amazing milestone, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you. Until next time, lead with intention, lead with heart, and keep growing. Thank you.